Buenas tardes, señores y señores. Es un gran honor y placer estar aquí invitado por el ACP, una organización que celebra sus 50 años y felicidades. Reconozco que yo soy el último que está entre las charlas y el lunch, y para asegurar que vosotros todos quedáis despiertos, propongo que sigo en inglés. But before I get started, there's a cautionary note. That is, if I can find out how this works. Don't try to read it, but it says that whatever I'm going to tell you is informative and should not be used as a basis for any investment decision. What I'd like to do in my presentation is focus on three things. First of all, providing a long-term energy outlook and its challenges globally. I then would like to discuss the benefits of gas, natural gas, and particularly LNG. And finally, I would like to examine what the industry and the government in Colombia can do to address competitiveness in the global LNG natural gas environment. Global energy demand is rising rapidly. This is primarily due to improving living standards and population growth. According to the EIA, we have a 30% higher than by 2040 compared to now. At the same time, the world's remaining supplies of oil and gas, as you very well know, are harder to find and more difficult to produce. And environmental and societal challenges are increasing. According to the United Nations, population growth amounts to 73 million people per annum. And this will lead to 9 billion people on planet Earth by 2050, which is up from the 7 billion today. What does that mean? It means that over the next few decades and beyond, this population growth plus economic development will lead to tens of millions of people having access to all sorts of things they didn't have before: cars, refrigerators, hospital, education. In other words, the world needs more energy for this growing population. And this really represents a major energy challenge, and it seems awkward that we're talking about supply-demand in previous sessions, but for the long term, this energy challenge is quite substantial, but it also provides an opportunity. We, the industry, will need to meet the higher demand of energy while reducing the impact on the environment. And that shall we believe that natural gas can play and will play a major and unique role. Why is that? Not a surprise to many of you, but nevertheless I would like to quickly run down the key benefits of gas. First of all, it is abundant. According to the International Energy Agency, there is enough recoverable gas resources currently to last for more than 230 years at the current levels of consumption. Secondly, it is versatile. A gas-fired power plant takes much less time to start and stop than a coal-fired power plant. And this is important flexibility, because it means that it makes gas an ideal backup for other variable energy supplies, like solar and wind in the future. Thirdly, gas is the cleanest burning fossil fuel. It produces less than half the carbon dioxide and just 1/10 of the pollutants that coal does when burned to generate electricity. Fossil fuels still constitute about 80% of the current energy mix in the world, and we believe that it will remain the dominant source for decades to come. There is therefore enormous potential to reduce near-term CO2 emissions and air pollution by the use of gas. In many cases, gas has economic advantages as well. The investment cost of the most efficient coal plant comes in multiple times higher than that of the most efficient gas-fired plant per kilowatt hour. Gas-fired power becomes even more efficient and cost competitive when the immediate production costs are added to the long-term costs associated with climate change and the impact of air pollution on both people and the environment. And finally, I'll mention the expanding range of use of natural gas. We all know that it's traditionally being used for heating homes, providing electricity, power the industries, etc. But other markets are opening up, and this is not to be underestimated, including the use of liquefied natural gas as an alternative to diesel and heavy fuel oil in transportation. Furthermore, although I do not want to dwell on that in this presentation, the innovative gas-to-liquid technology where natural gas is actually processed to produce the purest base lubricants, jet fuel, and diesel free of sulfur is one of those innovative technologies that has added a lot of value to the natural gas industry. I'm at risk to insult some of you to explain what LNG is. Nevertheless, I think it's important. Many energy demand centers are located far from gas-producing sites. Transporting gas by pipeline is costly and oftentimes impractical. To make gas easier to transport and store, it can be cooled down to about 160 degrees centigrade minus. What you get is a colorless, non-toxic, non-flammable liquid gas that occupies 600 times less space than natural gas itself. Imagine a very large fridge. When LNG is transported by dedicated vessels to its destination, it then returns to gaseous form by regasification facilities, after which it's piped to the market, to homes, businesses, and industries. Shell has been a pioneer in this LNG value chain for over 50 years, as long as ACP exists. And we continue to improve the innovation, the technology behind LNGs to make it increasingly more efficient. The outlook for LNG supply demand is very strong. And it's fair to say that over the years, LNG has become and is becoming more and more of a global commodity. Global demand is expected to grow from the current 240 million tons per annum to approximately 430 million tons by 2025. LNG already is 10% of the gas traded today, and we expect it to account for 13% of the global gas market by 2025, about a 5% growth rate per annum. And there are three reasons why the outlook for the LNG industry is exciting. Firstly, new markets continue to open up. At the moment, there are about 30 importing countries, LNG importing countries today. And Shell expects this to be more than 50 in the future by 2030, as you can see on this map. Some unlikely candidates are importing LNG. Kuwait, Dubai, Egypt. Secondly, LNG has evolved in those 50 years from being a fuel that is exclusively used for electricity supply in a handful of countries like Japan, Korea, and Taiwan, to a truly global commodity with an expanding range of uses, including for powering transport. And this really is an exciting market. Just imagine if all heavy transport today would switch to LNG, it would consume 2 times the current global annual supply of LNG. Now you may say that is not going to happen, and I agree with you. Nevertheless, the market is there. And it is there. China, at the moment, has more than 80,000 heavy-duty LNG-powered trucks. And Shell is very much involved in this, opening up this new market. For example, providing LNG as fuel for ships and industry in the new LNG transport infrastructure hub in the port of Rotterdam in the Netherlands. Thirdly, there is a much more notable commitment from world leaders around the low-carbon future. The recent sustainability summit in New York made it clear that climate change is now a top priority for years to come. Expanding the use of gas with LNG as a core element plays a pivotal role in any pragmatic and affordable low-carbon future and a transition towards it. As industry, it is our role to assure that the required supplies of natural gas and LNG are available and affordable. As exporting countries, it is necessary to have robust and stable policies, as well as regulatory procedures and structures to attract the necessary investments for the natural gas industry. We talked earlier about it takes 5-6 years for an oil development to reach the market. In most LNG projects, this takes even much longer. All parts of the value chain, from exploration, finding and developing the natural gas, preparing the liquefaction facilities, making the infrastructure ready, getting the right vessels, either charter or new build, to bring it to market, having the market before you take the final investment decision. This is a very different value chain and decision-making process